Today's review is sponsored by True Growth, the new plant-based dating app, because sometimes a cactus needs a little love.
Watch it, Alan, I'm shooting.
The Return of the Living Dead. For the longest time, I was a die-hard zombie fan. I loved the genre. Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. I loved them all. Hell, I was even a fan of the Dawn of the Dead remake. But as the genre became oversaturated with so many movies, TV shows, and video games, I became zombied out. I got tired of essentially seeing the same thing over and over and over again. And I've said this before, I blame The Walking Dead for that. When I was younger, I'd say that Dawn of the Dead was my favorite zombie movie. But as I got older, I started gravitating towards Day of the Dead, because that's the movie where the zombies started to evolve.
Hello, Aunt Alicia. Hello.
That's the main reason why I liked Land of the Dead. I liked the direction that George Romero was going in. Until he stopped going in that direction. Once I got tired of zombie movies, I started becoming fonder of the zombie movies that felt different from other movies in the genre. Now that's not the fault of the original Romero Dead movies. I still love them. They're still great movies, and they are responsible for the zombie genre that we know today. That's the unfortunate part. It's the same thing with slasher movies. Black Christmas, Halloween, and Friday the 13th created the slasher formula, and then a lot of filmmakers decided to follow that same money-making formula with so many movies. And that's coming from a slasher fan. Same thing with the Romero Dead movies. So many zombie flicks follow what those movies created. But then you have Return of the Living Dead, directed by Dan O'Bannon, the guy who wrote the script for Alien. The movie begins at a medical warehouse where Freddy, played by Thom Mathews of Jason Lives fame, is starting the first day of his new job. He's being shown the ropes by Frank, played by James Karen, the guy who played the asshole realtor in Poltergeist.
You son of a bitch, you moved the cemetery, but you left the bodies, didn't you? You son of a bitch, you left the bodies and you only moved the headstones! I
like him much better in this flick. During their lunch break, Frank reveals a little secret hidden down in the basement.
Did you see that movie, Night of the Living Dead?
Yeah. That's the one where the corpses start eating the people, right?
Did you know that movie was based on a true case?
Yep, Night of the Living Dead really happened. You all remember that zombie apocalypse, right? There was a lot of social commentary back then, too. A little more subtle, though. Frank goes through this whole story about this chemical that brought the dead back to life, and some of those corpses are now in the basement of the warehouse. So there's only one way to go after that.
Want to see him?
See him?
Corpses.
So when they go downstairs to check out the barrels, as you would guess, the canisters spring a leak and release the gas into the warehouse. As this is happening, a bunch of Freddy's friends are looking to party, so they decide to hang out in the cemetery while they're waiting for Freddy to get off work. One thing leads to another, and soon the whole place is overrun with zombies, all hungry for brains. First thing everyone's gonna notice about this movie is that punk rock vibe. The whole movie oozes with this punk rock atmosphere. The music, the costumes, even the zombies have this punk rock feel to them. All the characters are memorable. In most horror movies, you're looking for at least one or two standout performances. In Return of the Living Dead, we get at least 7, not counting the zombies. We have 2 alumni from the Friday the 13th series in this movie. Thom Mathews, as I mentioned, and Miguel A. Nunez Jr. He was the guy singing on the toilet in Friday the 13th, A New Beginning.
Ooh, baby, ooh, baby, ooh, baby, ooh, baby.
I enjoyed their characters in those movies, but I prefer their characters in this movie. Then there's the character Trash, played by Linnea Quigley. She had the most famous breasts of the 1980s. Seriously, look, if Linnea Quigley was in a 1980s horror movie, there was a good chance she was either going to get half naked or fully naked. One of the most memorable scenes in the movie is when the Trash character does a nudie dance on top of a gravestone. You have the Suicide character, who's this aggressively punk rocker. But my favorite characters are Frank, Bert, the owner of the medical warehouse, and his mortician friend, Ernie. That's right, you've got 2 friends in this movie, named Bert and Ernie. Why is no one else talking about this?
Mister, there's 100 of those things out there.
100?
The other thing that makes this such a great horror movie is the natural progression of the story. 2 things I applaud in horror movies is good pacing and when the characters make logical decisions. When the canister first leaks, everything that was dead in the warehouse is now alive again, including a cadaver in the freezer. Now Frank, Freddy, and Bert have to deal with the situation. So what do? Well, let's try destroying the brain. That's what they did in the movies. And it doesn't work. Okay, now what? How about we try cutting off the head? That doesn't work. What do we do now? Let's try cutting it up into pieces. Still doesn't work. They try everything that anybody in this situation would try. And I love that. The plot isn't just moving forward through characters constantly making dumb decisions. Mistakes are made, but the characters are making choices that make sense. It finally gets to the point where they decide to try and burn the body until there's nothing left. This is where Ernie comes into the film.
Rubber ducky, you're the one.
No, not that one. Burning the body makes sense, but again, it leads to the problem growing. The chemicals rise up into the atmosphere, mix with the clouds, and then the Jesus juice starts raining down on the cemetery, and thus, the dead start coming back to life. Which brings me to the zombies, which is the main reason why I love this movie so much. The zombies in this movie are so different from the zombies in other movies. Look at the Romero zombies. The reason they're so effective is because they're mindless eating machines. They're not fast, well sometimes they are, they're not smart, but there is so many of them. They are pure instinct coming right at you. All they do is eat human flesh and spread the disease. The only way to kill them is by destroying the brain. That's not the case with the Return of the Living Dead zombies. In here, the reanimate is in the nerves, which you can't do anything about. You cut off a piece, it'll move around on its own. The only way to destroy them is by burning the body until there's nothing left.
This will get rid of everything and do the trick. I mean, nothing left.
Nothing but a little bitty pile of ashes.
Well, we don't even want the ashes, eh?
Then I'll turn it up higher and we'll burn up the ashes too.
What I really love about these zombies is that they're sentient. They think, they talk, they run. People have complained about running zombies since 28 Days Later and the Dawn of the Dead remake, but they existed before both of those movies. They first appeared in 1980 in Nightmare City, directed by Umberto Lenzi, and then in 1985 we got Return of the Living Dead. And I just gotta mention the Tar Man, one of my all-time favorite zombies. Such a good design, simple and effective, which you all know I love. But it's the reason they kill that raises them up for me. These zombies only eat brains. And why is that?
The pain.
What about the pain?
The pain of being dead.
They feel pain from being dead, and eating human brains is the only thing that reduces that pain. I do think that the Romero zombies are scarier with that soulless drive to eat human flesh, but the motivation of the Return of the Living Dead zombies gives them an extra layer. It's like a drug addict dealing with withdrawals, only in this case, a stint at rehab isn't gonna do anything. You can't stop a dead person from rotting.
I can feel myself rot.
This gives the zombies a specific goal: eat those fucking brains. It adds this element of tragedy and a different angle to the horror. This is one of my favorite zombie movies. It has everything that a Grindhouse fan could want. It's gory, it's creepy, it's fun, it's funny, and to top it all off, it's something different in a genre that doesn't have a lot of variety. It doesn't matter how much I love, hate, or am indifferent towards a genre, I will always push for something new and different. And with that, let's get to the Grindhouse rankings. We've got a body count of nearly 4,000, but that's due to what happens towards the end of the movie, which I'm not gonna spoil. The kills mostly consist of zombies biting out human brains, but we also have people being torn apart and one or two scenes of someone getting burned alive. Or dead. Or undead, you know what I mean. It reaches the zombie flick requirements with people coming back from the dead, oodles of gore, and scenes of cannibalism. There's a good amount of nudity here, mainly from Linnea Quigley, but that's to be expected when she's in an 80s horror flick. We have some good characters here. Quite a few of them stand out, and their banter provides an extra level of entertainment. This is a perfect horror comedy. It has a good blend of funny scenes mixed with some genuinely frightening moments. The movie has a good pacing, as well as a natural progression to the chaos. This makes the film go by very fast. But what makes this so good is how different it is from other zombie movies. I do have a soft spot for the Romero zombies, but I want more films to take on this angle with zombies. I'm giving this a 4.8 out of 5. This is a classic 1980s horror movie, and such a unique entry in the zombie genre. Great stuff. As always, I want to thank everyone for watching and supporting my channel. If you're new here, please subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you like what I do here, or give it a thumbs down if you don't like what I do here. Leave a comment down below. Do you prefer the Romero zombies, or the Return of the Living Dead zombies? This is the Maniac, here to remind you that the Grindhouse will never die. I was going to eat brains here, but I don't have any, so I'm just gonna go with smart food. It's the same thing, right? Brains!